everybody. Welcome back to Bimbo Mentality, a podcast where we like to talk about things and learn about things. I am very excited to be back. It is the first episode of the new year. I am stoked. I hope everybody had a happy holiday and all of that. Y'all know the drill. My name is Bug. That's Emma. Emma, how are you? We're back. I missed you. How have you been doing?
I missed you too. I've been good. Thinking about that thing I posted on Swiss Guide today about it said that having a podcast is this generation's lower back tattoo, and I kind of love that. So
Well, you know what? I wear this lower back tattoo with pride.
Me too. And I also want to get a lower back tattoo, actually.
Can we get matching Bimbo Mentality logo tramp stamps?
Holy shit, that would be fucking incredible. Oh my god.
Okay, so we should do that. So next time we're like in the same city, that's what we're gonna do.
Oh my god! I'm actually kind of in for that. If we can get a good, okay. Anyways, let's keep going. Yes, I'm so in.
We gotten distracted quickly. Over in the booth doing producer shit, it's Lilith. How are you, Lilith?
I think that if I were to do that, I would be up to 5 lower back tattoos at this point, and I think at a certain point those cease to be lower back tattoos. I've just tattooed my entire back with a bunch of podcast logos, some of whom I don't think would be a very good idea to do.
Well, what we haven't actually told you yet, Lilith, is that you're going to be giving us the Bimbo Mentality tramp stamps. You're going to be the one doing the tattooing.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You don't want that. Nobody wants that.
We'll talk about it in the production meeting. Joining us on the podcast this week, we are joined by our guest, Arizona Hayes. With over 5,000 miles of backpacking experience, Arizona is fresh off of a hike across the Pacific Crest Trail from May to September, and is here to talk a little bit about her experience on that journey. She would also like it on record that she likes strolls in the park and getting caught in the rain. Welcome to the podcast, Arizona. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me on. Glad to be here. Just enjoying this atmospheric river that is settled over here in the Pacific Northwest.
That's awesome.
So for our SoCal listeners and SoCal co-hosts, an atmospheric river is when they produce a lot of rain at once, and that's when water comes out of the sky and onto the ground.
We get atmospheric rivers all the time, so I know exactly about what they are. Thank you very much.
I know what a river is, and I know what an atmosphere is, and I'm sort of just putting 2 and 2 together.
I know what atmospheric black metal is, and I'm assuming that it's exactly like that.
I would assume so.
Meteorology was almost my major, so that's like one of the things we can never do a Bimbo Mentality about, just saying.
Wow.
You studied meteors?
Huh? Yeah, oh my god. I love a good meteor, okay? Like the one 65 million years ago at the Cretaceous boundary, like all-time meteor.
Wow, I actually hate that meteor because it killed all of the dinosaurs. And Bimbo Mentality is a pro-dinosaurs podcast.
Okay, but it also led to the rise of mammals, and we wouldn't be here without that meteor, so think about that.
You know, maybe that doesn't sound too bad.
That's not an argument against it. Thank you, Ari.
Okay.
Anyway, now that we've talked a lot about meteors, so let's start here. Ari, tell us a little bit about kind of what brought you to being such an avid backpacker and what kind of made you so passionate about hiking that you would walk 5,000 miles.
Well, one of the first things about being a traveler or backpacker in general is you kind of have to make up a narrative around yourself. So here's a little bit of the narrative that I fudged for you. I like to tell people that my first inkling of getting into backpacking and long distance stuff specifically was when I was in middle school, newfound gap in the Great Smoky Mountains. we were just coming home from a big long road trip, and we stopped at Newfound Gap, which is this big road crossing through the park. It's right at the Tennessee-North Carolina state border. And we take in the views for a bit. It's sunset, and I see a sign to the north end of the parking lot that says Appalachian Trail. And I had vaguely heard of it, and it said, like, all right, 10 miles to the next shelter, and then at the very bottom, 2,000 miles to Katahdin, Maine. And I thought, that'd be really interesting to do all that in one trip, wouldn't it? And that was always just an idle interest in the back of my head. And I started getting into actually enjoying outdoor stuff around the end of high school, beginning of college, and had my first real adventure on the Appalachian Trail in 2021 to hike that. And we'll talk a little bit more about this, but I just finished a Pacific Crest Trail across the West Coast earlier this year. So I've now done 2 of the big 3 here in America, and it's an addiction. I can't wait to get back at it.
Newfound Gap, isn't that the band that did My Friends Over You? That a lame joke. Anyway.
I think Newfound Gap is what I'm going to call my bottom surgery.
Oh my god.
That is really cool, though, just, like, seeing a sign that said, here's a thing you could do, and deciding to do it. Like, I feel like I see a whole lot of signs that tell me to not do things. Like, I see a sign that says stop, and I do. But what I need is to... Wait, I lost my train of thought. I guess I obey signs all the time, actually. I don't know where I was going with that. The point is, that's really cool that you, like, just sort of saw that and were like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. And then you did. So tell us about that process. Like, what did it take to kind of work yourself up from somebody who looked at a sign and thought, that looks cool, to actually doing it?
So I would relay this as actionable advice for anyone who wants to do some sort of long distance adventure like this. Is the first step to it is not just necessarily planning it, but demystifying it. So the more you read about it, the less scary and daunting that it becomes. I'm like, okay, well, I see this mountain's supposed to be really scary, a real pain to climb over. I hear it's a lot of rain, but, the more I read into it, it doesn't seem that bad. I could handle it in small doses.
Yeah, so is there, like, a lot of, is there a lot of good, like, hiking literature in that regard? Like, what was the process by which you kind of demystified it and learned about this stuff?
Well, there's lots of stuff on YouTube. There are a couple of very popular thru hikers on YouTube who I will not name because, if I'm being honest, I find most of them kind of annoying. You heard it here. This podcast has a beef with thru hiking YouTube as of today.
I was literally about to ask, like, if there were hiking podcasts, and it sounds like maybe the answer is yes.
So, like, there's lots of blogs online. Like, there's a real popular website called The Trek that's a lot of folks write blogs for, and some of the blogs are interesting. Some of them are written by competent writers that you can follow along and really learn about the experience with. But also, there's been some good books published about it. It's like I guarantee you, 1 in 3 people listening to this podcast has a dad with a copy of A Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson on their shelf.
And I assume that is a book about how that guy did a lot of walking in the woods.
It is specifically about how he did the Appalachian Trail, and I say did, he ended up skipping a lot of it, but it's just sort of his account on it. And
wait, hold on.
Trail, what's up?
Hold on, pause. Wait, I need to talk about that because I have beef with this Bill Bryson guy. How are you going to write the authoritative book on hiking the Appalachian Trail and skip a bunch of it? That sounds like some bullshit.
It's funny you mention that because there are 2 sort of canonical works in the world of thru hiking literature, both of which have actually been adapted into movies. And so one is Bryson's A Walk in the Woods, and then with the Pacific Crest Trail, with the trail I just did, there is Cheryl Strayed's Wild.
Did Cheryl Strayed do the whole trail, or did she skip out on half of it like a
No,
bitch, like
she
Bill
did
Bryson
not.
did?
So both of the two canonical works do not depict the trails they are in full. Most folks hearing this might have, if they haven't heard of the book, there is a fairly popular movie adaptation of it with Reese Witherspoon.
I'm fucking furious about this.
Do they get picked up in a car and then get driven miles? Like, is that what's happening?
Well, they each have their different reasons, but yeah, there's a lot of yellow blazing, as we like to call it.
Tell us all about that, because I know a little something about some blazing you can do in the woods, but I think it's probably a different kind of blazing.
We call that green blazing.
Neat. So what is yellow blazing? Is it where you do a little? Is it where you smoke like a little bit less weed?
The blazing refers to this originates on the Appalachian Trail, but it's used all over. So if you've ever gone on a hike, chances are you've seen on trees some painted blazes that sort of mark where the trail is.
Yeah, I actually do know that. I do have seen those.
On the Appalachian Trail, the trail is marked with a white rectangular blaze that's usually every few feet or so. So a purist would say that they are white blazing the trail. Alternate trails that go to campgrounds or just are completely different routes altogether are marked with a blue blaze. So if you're taking alternate routes, you're blue blazing. So if you decide to take the road, which has a double yellow line in the middle, then you are yellow blazing, taking a shortcut by car.
Oh, it's because the road has a little yellow line in it. I get it.
And
Okay.
so much slang of through hiking is just like hyphen blazing something. Pick a color, and I bet that there's a word for it.
Is pink blazing when gay people do it?
In a way, they're actually pink blazing is romantically pursuing someone on trail. Often
Okay, so
often without the enthusiasm of one party.
Oh,
okay,
shit.
that's fucked up. That you should, listeners, PSA, don't do that. That's fucked up. And I think that we should change the verbiage to make pink blazing something cool, which is when two people go when two people of the same um gender slash sex presentation go out on a trail and fall in love. I think that's a much nicer thing.
Pink blazing can include consensual romance. But some hiker bros just don't know limits. Or just stupid.
Hiker bros, Bill Bryson, we have beef.
I'm not making this an anti-Bill Bryson podcast.
We are.
Well, I am. Thank you, Emma. I knew you'd see my vision. I guess I've decided that I'm coming away from this podcast with like a lot of beef. Speaking of beef, when you're out on a big 2,000-mile walk, what do you eat?
All right. So I'm going to answer one of the most common questions out of the way first, which is no, I do not rely exclusively on stuff that I forage. Occasionally, there'll be some nice berries, mushrooms, chickens of the woods that you can grab off trail, and that's a nice little treat. But the truth is, I rely mainly on shelf-stable, highly processed foods. Do not let anyone tell you that this is a healthy activity, because I cannot say that my diet matches it.
In fairness, I also rely mostly on shelf-stable processed foods and microwaved dinners and shit, and I don't go hiking. That's just because I'm lazy. So,
Real.
See, all this talk about make America healthy again and getting rid of Red 40, but if Red 40 didn't exist, think about how much fewer thru hikers there'd be. It'd be a huge gap in ability.
Is it like kind bars and stuff like that? Like, what is actually? I don't know what Red 40 is. I thought it was food coloring.
Yeah, I have no idea. I thought Red 40 was like an old like World War II pilot.
No, that's the band that it's the band that did Red Red Wine.
Well, now I'm even more confused.
I believe Red 40 was the member of the Rebel Alliance that actually killed the Death Star, for being technical here, but continue.
If you destroy the Death Star while you're hiking, is that red blazing?
Yeah, you know what? Let's go with it.
Cool. I love that. I love that apparently there wasn't already a red blazing. There probably is. There probably is.
There probably
That's a weird
is, and I'm
assumption on my
forgetting it.
part. Oh, okay. Well, I was gearing myself up to be told that it was something really obvious, and instead apparently that's not the case. So I'm taking the W. Everything is coming up bug today, and I will use this power and energy that I've established right now to vanquish my mortal enemy, Bill Bryson.
I can't say that I endorse any actual harm coming to Bill Bryson for the sake of this podcast.
I didn't say I'm gonna harm him. I said I'm gonna vanquish him.
How tough can he be? Wait, when was this seminal book written? Like, is he like in his 70s, 80s? Like, I think we can take him.
Yeah, he's a fairly old man. I think this was written several decades ago.
But I'm a little bit surprised to discover, just based on the conversations that we are having, that Bill Bryson is still alive. I just assumed that this was a book written in like 1915.
Same. Ow. Oh my god.
You're gonna beef with him and you don't even know if he's alive?
I mean,
Well, I've only learned about him today.
tell me the name Bill Bryson doesn't sound like someone in like 1887. Like,
Yeah, right?
Old Bill Bryson went down to Dodge City.
In fairness, if it was like 1840 or whatever, I think he'd be going by like William Brysonson or something, some shit like that.
Well, if he was an old-timey guy, it would explain why so many uncles love his work.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, is I just assume that any book enjoyed by an uncle is from like 1917. You know, I'm learning that apparently that's not the case. Anyway, we were talking about hiking or some shit. We were like, what? Okay. You're okay. First of all, tell us, I guess, for starters, a little bit about the Pacific Crest Trail specifically and what hiking that is like. I mean, I assume out west there's like a lot of mountains and stuff.
Yeah, so the Pacific Crest Trail connects the Mexican border with the Canadian border. Literally, the trail just stops dead at both. It follows a series of mountain ranges across the West Coast through California, Oregon, and Washington. So there's a lot of geological diversity. And if you just look at the two pics I have, that's of me at the beginning, at the end, you can see that because I start in the middle of a desert in San Diego County, and I end in the woods somewhere in northern Washington, British Columbia.
I was just gonna ask, like, I know you and I have talked some about your time on the Pacific Crest Trail, and I just like, maybe we'll get into this later, but I was wondering, like, can you, it's obviously apples and oranges, but like comparing the two that you have done, like, what have you noticed about the differences, and like, how would you describe, like, was one tougher than the other at different points, or like, what was that like?
Oh, PCC better. West Coast, best coast, baby.
Hell yes.
No comment. I'm just gonna sit here with my arms crossed.
Well, if you want some good comparisons between the two, and we are erasing a big third trail here that I have not talked about yet, but we will get around to it, I'm sure.
I was gonna ask you about that in a little bit, yeah.
So to compare the two, the PCT, it's true, it goes through deserts and it goes through much higher elevations than anything the Appalachian Trail does. And so on that face value, people would think that it's the harder of the two, but I find the PCT ended up being easier.
Is that like due to like weather, or like what? I guess I would love to know like what made it easier? Like, is it more frequent rest points or like, I'm really interested by this.
Yeah, so weather is definitely a big factor. On the AT, it is going to rain at least once a week, sometimes for days on end. Meanwhile, on the PCT, I haven't run the data on all my diaries and spreadsheets yet, but I don't think I encountered rain on more than like 10 days over the course of 5 months.
All right, hold up. You just dropped a whole new layer into this that I was not expecting. You were keeping spreadsheets?
Oh yeah, every day I would log my beginning point and my end point, and I had a handwritten journal that has so many details that I have yet to really upload and transcribe of like what my campsite was like, what the weather was like, any other weird things that happened. Did I cry on trail today?
Did you cry on the trail a lot?
Oh, absolutely. It's an integral part of an experience like this.
That actually does kind of bring up an interesting question, actually, because like, okay, the technical parts of this are very very cool. Obviously, like learning about what it is like to prepare to hike, and what the actual like how the trails work and the different kinds of trains and stuff, and we can certainly talk more about that, and I would like to. But since you bring that up, like tell us a little bit about like the emotional journey you go on this like 5 month 5 month trek, this quest. I mean, I have to assume that it's like an enlightening experience, and dare I say even possibly like a spiritual one.
Yeah, and admittedly, like it could be a little cliche to talk about the trail as sort of like a healing or a cathartic experience, but it comes from a place of truth. There's definitely some moments where you just get so in your head and you really want to quit, and a lot of people do. This is not a sport with a high success rate, unfortunately.
I don't know anything that I have ever managed to successfully do for 5 months straight. We're at what, month 3 on this podcast? I guess we'll get there eventually, but
I mean, I think one of the hardest parts of trail life is that while people go to get away, like the fact is that life does sort of go on without you, and there are times where you're really gonna miss it, and you're really gonna wonder, what the hell am I doing here right now?
while you were out on the trail, what level of like connectedness to your life did you maintain? I mean, were you regularly like uh on the internet and checking in with friends and relatives, or did you kind of like unplug for this journey?
Well, I stayed connected as much as cell reception would allow you to, which definitely varies in parts. Whenever I stopped at camp for the night, I would always send a text message with my Garmin satellite messenger to my family and to my girlfriend to let them know that I'm safe and sound and this is where I am ending for the night. So kids, if you're listening to this, always let your people know that you're safe.
Mom, if you're listening, I'm sorry that I don't always reply to your check-in texts, and that I do a worse job of that than somebody who's literally hiking the entire West Coast. But that's neither here nor there. But so you were keeping like you were checking in with family and your girlfriends, and you were letting them know you're safe. But otherwise, were you like following the news at all, or were you just in backpack mode?
I can't say I was trying to follow the news, but eventually, like, you get back in the city after resupply and refresh after a few days in the woods before going back out. You're gonna check your phone and just get the news. I do remember one day we were coming down from the Sierra Nevadas in California. I had just spent a week, 7 days in a row without any sort of outside contact, really. just it completely in a bubble, focused on the mountains. And one guy who's hiking with us turns to us and says, "Oh, we just bombed Iran."
Jeez. That's Yeah, that's gotta be like a come back to Earth moment. Like, oh yeah, the world is still happening, and not only is it happening, but it's some bullshit.
It sure is. I did kind of pick a hell of a year to check out 3 out of 5 days a week.
Well, on the other hand, it is like, having lived through this year and having had to experience every single day of it, I think it's kind of a good year to decide that you're just not going to participate in society for 5 months.
Nope, I'm just gonna stay in my weird little micro society with other people who haven't showered in days.
Actually, that's a good segue. Tell me about like what is the general, I guess it's so varied, there's not like a type, but like going back to hiker bros, like is there like a specific type of guy that like makes this their whole like that kind of bro? Is there a hiker bro? Is there like
Oh yeah.
that you encounter on the trail, and what are they like?
For the listener, we have reached the part of the podcast where Emma talks about boys.
You bisexuals.
Guilty.
She usually confesses guilty to being into guys. It's okay. You're allowed.
So
Tell us all about the hiker bros.
So allow me to redirect you to a specific kind of outdoors person, and that is the ultralighter. When you are carrying your house and all of your possessions on your back for 5 months at a time, obviously you're keeping close track of how much weight you have and how it's affecting you. There is a subset of folks who will not only strive to make their pack as light as possible, but make a point to let you know just what their base weight is.
Okay, that last part sounds super annoying. I would absolutely be one of those. I swear to God, I could be told that I'm getting on like a 5-year-long space voyage to Mars and I have to pack food, and I'd be like, nah, I don't need a snack. I'll eat when I get there. So I absolutely understand the mindset of like, what, I'm going to be in the woods for 5 months? Who needs a tent? But bragging about it? Now that I don't fuck with.
You know, it's funny. I actually learned of ultralight culture through hiking. It's become a meme at this point among backpackers. Even if you're not doing long distance stuff, even if you're just going out for a couple nights then coming home, it's become a bit of a meme. But one interesting thing I learned this year from a couple of international hikers is that in at least one country, it's kind of the opposite. In New Zealand, trampers, as they call them, actually take pride in how much stuff they are carrying.
Okay, this actually tracks because, like, I watched the Lord of the Rings Extended Edition recently, and Samwise was carrying, like, half of Hobbiton with him, I feel like. So that tracks that New Zealand would have.
I mean, sometimes you do have to feel a little owned, where it's like, all right, I have the perfect amount of food. I didn't pack out too many snacks, and my weight is gonna feel just enough. And then all of a sudden, you are tired walking up a hill, and some dude who is carrying a cast iron skillet blazes past you.
For the record, since I assume somebody out there is keeping a spreadsheet of this at this point, Lord of the Rings have seen the first two. Have not seen all the way through the third one.
You watched the first two of the trilogy and never decided to see The King Return?
Yeah, no, so not sequentially. My family were late adopters to the technology of DVD, and as a result, only had the first one on VHS and then 2 and 3 on DVD. And the little sort of tabletop TV I had in my bedroom uh, only had a VCR. So I watched the shit out of the first Lord of the Rings. I watched that like 20 times. When I eventually got a DVD player that I like to in my bedroom, I watched the second one once, and then I meant to get around to watching the third one and just never did.
Come backpacking and you will hear more Lord of the Rings references than you could ever want, and you will eventually learn the plot of the third movie by pure osmosis.
So what you're telling me is a lot of backpackers are trans women, is what I'm hearing then.
Emma, I wish that were the case.
I do have a vague sense of the plot of the third Lord of the Rings movie. They do a lot of walking, and he throws the ring into the fire, and all of the other people are like having a big battle, and the one guy becomes the king again, and then there's like a 40-minute long outro where they all hug and stuff.
Yeah, you got it.
Pretty much.
Basically.
Yeah, like that's the gist
Yeah.
of it.
There was the big spider, but that's more or less, yeah, I think the gist
There
of it.
was, I think I do vaguely remember seeing a big spider in some of the bits and pieces of that movie that I have seen.
Did it scare you?
No.
Could Sam and Frodo have hiked the three big trails? Yes or no?
Oh, they absolutely. I think, this might actually be a debate that I have not ready to wade into, but they could probably handle it.
Yeah.
I think they should just let the birds do everything.
How could they? How could they?
Well, okay, this has become a very different podcast.
Okay, but how could they? Like, could they do it barefoot though? Because that's how they walk. Like, I feel like that's really tough.
There are people who will carry some sort of weird thing and walk barefoot all the time. There are all sorts of weird gadget hikers out there, gimmick hikers. They could do it.
This is totally just conjecture. I obviously don't know this for sure, but I bet they're all insufferable.
You might be onto something.
I just I don't know. I feel like if you're going to walk 2,000 plus miles across the entire West Coast, you don't need to add a gimmick. That's already pretty neat. You adding a gimmick just feels like forcing it,
So I guess I'm never going to introduce you to Leaf Blower Man.
Okay, tell me all about Leaf Blower Man. Holy shit. I was actually earlier going to ask you which trail you hiked had the better cryptids, so I'm going to start from the assumption that Leaf Blower Man was a kind of cryptid and be disappointed when I'm wrong. But tell me all about Leaf Blower Man.
I just watched that anime actually.
It's part of the trilogy: Lawnmower Man, Chainsaw Man, Leaf Blower Man.
Have not seen any of those.
Leaf Blower Man is just a dude who... Leaf Blower Man's just a dude who carries a leaf blower. I've never met him. I just know that he exists.
Okay, wait, so he is kind of a cryptid.
But if you really want to talk about which coast has the best cryptids, it's got to be pretty tight. I mean, we're mostly just talking Sasquatch versus Mothman here. So, personal taste. I'm gonna ask the host. I'm gonna ask the host and maybe even the producer. Are you team Sasquatch or are you team Mothman?
Well, I actually have very strong opinions about this.
Oh my god.
Because, and I'm absolutely committed to this, I know that this is true. Mothman is real, and Bigfoot is not real.
What?
Thank you, Ari.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I'm with you there.
As a girl who lives in the state where that famous video of the Bigfoot was
The confirmed hoax one?
the confirmed hoax. Look, okay. Also, in SoCal, there's also chupacabras, so we have 2-1 over Mothman.
Yeah, Chupacabra is real.
Exactly.
But Bigfoot
Would you
is not
believe
real.
that there is, in progress, in development, there is a hiking trail in Northern California called the Bigfoot Trail?
I would believe that. Yeah, I didn't know about
100%,
it, but
yeah.
you say that, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds real.
Does it go through Willow Creek?
Does it go through where?
Willow Creek, that's the famous little town that makes all their restaurants and everything. It's the one near that where that video was, and so they've made their tourist whole deal is being the town of Bigfoot. It's really cute, but I didn't know if it would.
I don't know if it goes through Willow Creek, but it does share a route with the PST for a bit when it goes through Syed Valley, which is the worst town on the entire trail and probably one of the worst in all of California.
Here's the thing, though, about Bigfoot Trail is like a trail dedicated to Bigfoot or a trail where you can go on Bigfoot sightings. That would be pretty neat. But unfortunately, it's 2025, and it's probably just going to be some bullshit where they have like an AI generated hologram of Bigfoot walking around, and fucking Chat GPT is walking around like, "Hey everybody, I'm Bigfoot," and you run into the Chat GPT Bigfoot, and it just like tells you Bigfoot facts that aren't real and fascist propaganda. And
Bigfoot's
why I
that Bigfoot supports using ivermectin to cure COVID-19.
yeah, that Bigfoot is a big fan of Bill Bryson.
Bill, get wrecked, Bill. If you're listening to this,
Honestly, you don't even need to look for that. Just spend even a single day in Mount Shasta City, and you will find that exact kind of person.
What, the AI generated Bigfoot?
Yeah,
Or
probably.
just like the person? Okay.
All the weirdos hang out at Mount Shasta.
oh yeah, no. So like, Bug, you may not know this as an East Coaster, but far northeast California is basically Idaho.
Yeah, NorCal's fucking crazy.
I did have a
Yes.
sense of that.
I remember I've been going back and forth between the Pacific Northwest and Texas for much of my life. And one time in one of my many little journeys, I stopped in a Motel 6 in Redding, California, and
Great
then I
start.
like looked up Redding, California on the internet and found out about the town that I was spending a night in and had just ordered Domino's in and all the cult activity that was going on in Redding. And then I found out I had COVID the next morning, so that was cool.
Oh no.
So, yeah.
I assume Emma and Lilith know about this, but Bug, are you perhaps familiar with the state of Jefferson?
I am vaguely aware of this. It's like all of the bullshit parts of California and Oregon that don't like having civil rights are like, well, we'll just make our own state.
Yeah, all the parts of California that not a lot of people want to live in.
Yeah, all of the parts full of people who are just mad that the rest of California lives in a cooler state than them.
I mean, they got some nice trees. They've got a couple volcanoes. It's not the worst place in the world, but
They have no Bigfoots. And they sure as shit don't have a Mothman.
they sure shit don't have a Mothman.
Do they have a Leaf Blower Man? Is that where Leaf Blower Man lives?
For the sake of this podcast, let's say he does.
Cool. All right. Well, that's a plus.
Let's say he lives in Syed Valley.
Well, maybe they should then be a state, because I bet Leaf Blower Man would have a pretty good chance of being like elected to the U.S. Senate, because there'd only be like 7 people who live in that state.
Does he have like a battery? Is it a battery powered leaf blower that he just like blows around when he's on the trail? Does he like stop in cities?
Solar powered leaf blower.
I'm afraid, as my expertise does not extend to the whims and abilities of Leaf Blower Man. I think only he knows that.
Could you put him in touch, though? Can we have Leaf Blower Man on as a guest on Bimbo Mentality, the podcast?
I'll see what I can do.
Also, I would like to formally extend an offer to come onto this podcast to acclaimed hiking writer Bill Bryson, who I have been going in on and know nothing about. So, Bill, if you're listening, come on the podcast sometime, so I can say it to your face.
Bimbo Mentality app with Bill Bryson and Reese Witherspoon.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Actually, you know what? Forget the Bill Bryson. Reese Witherspoon, come on the pod.
Reese
Please.
Witherspoon is always welcome.
Oh my God, yes. I would love to talk about the third trail, the trail behind door number 3.
Yes. Please tell us about the secret trail.
The big secret trail. This is the one whenever I tell people, oh, I'm doing the big 3, the Triple Crown, as they call it. The third one is always the one that I have to explain because it's the one really only the most devoted thru hikers know about, and it is called the Continental Divide Trail. Much like its West Coast cousin, Pacific Crest, it goes from Mexico to Canada. The difference is this one follows the Rocky Mountains through a trail that is not finished yet and requires a lot of wayfinding, alternate routes, and occasionally just walking on a road.
And do you have plans to hike this yet?
Absolutely. No, nothing concrete, but my hope is in the next few years. To date, there's only one known trans woman who has completed the Triple Crown of thru hiking, my friend Lila, who is honestly kind of a legend, and I'm hoping to become the second.
This
yes.
Bimbo Mentality is a pro Lila podcast. I've never met her, but she sounds cool.
Lila is cooler than I could ever be. I'm just gonna say it.
Are you feeling ready for the Triple Crown? Do you feel like you're ready to do it?
If it weren't for, saving money and just trying to move forward in life, like, if all that were no object, if you were to just give me everything I needed and drop me off in the middle of the Glacier National Park and say, walk south, I'd say, yeah, maybe I could do it. But right now, regular life's kind of getting in the way, and I'm enjoying life as a civilian.
Like, obviously, the Appalachian Trail is famous, and the Pacific Coast Trail has a lot, or Crest Trail, rather, has a lot of, like, not resources, rather, but is the Continental Divide Trail a little more, like, less built out? Like, does it require more planning than the other ones as a result, or is it?
Yeah, I would definitely say that. Like, it definitely has the smallest thru hiking culture of the three. It does require a little extra planning in that regard, and I think there's also a lot more towns, especially up in Montana, that are just kind of small, middle of nowhere type places that are getting used to hikers and are kind of like becoming more willing to support them, but also it's a long way to go. For perspective, one of the trail towns on the Continental Divide is Lincoln, Montana, which is where Ted Kaczynski's cabin was.
Those kind of, when I hear like trail towns, little trail towns, the thought in my head is very much like a dusty little western town with like a saloon and a tumbleweed.
There are a few towns that are like that. It's like I've already done my maligning of Sayed Valley. I'm not going to drag it any further. It's like that, and there's a couple little outposts in Southern California that definitely fit that bill, if for no other reason than they're trying to look like that. But a lot of trail towns are also just regular towns. Like, when I was hiking through the Sierra Nevadas in California, I was stopping in Bishop and Mammoth Lakes and South Lake Tahoe. Like, lots of people go here who have showered in the past week.
So the Continental Divide Trail, like, is it kind of a scale up for the big three trails where it's like you do the easier ones to kind of prepare yourself for the Continental Divide Trail, or is it kind of like you do the one and you're like, oh, I can do a thru hiking adventure?
People do it in any order. I will say that very few people attempt the Continental Divide Trail as their first, although there's some fucking musician whose name I cannot remember who did the Continental Divide Trail this year, and it was a big deal. He's a fucking nobody musician. This is the most interesting thing he's ever done.
Jared Leto.
Get wrecked, dude.
If I see Jared Leto on the Continental Divide Trail, I am kicking his ass. I'm just gonna say that right here now.
Tell me y'all couldn't see him like making a huge deal out about doing one of these thru hiking trails though.
Get morbed, idiot.
I guess. I wouldn't necessarily call him a nobody, but
Have you seen his?
To be clear, this is not me standing up for Jared Leto, guys, you creep. This is me saying that, nobody is a word that means something.
As someone who has had to see a 30 Seconds to Mars performance, I can assure you it fits.
Now, hold on here. Had to. Explain that to me.
I was at a festival and they were on the stage for the band I wanted to see was going to be on next.
Okay, yeah, no, I get it.
So
that qualifies.
I had to get there early to get a good spot, and I had to sit through it, and it was it was actually terrible.
Who was the band that you wanted to see?
Like, what did he do?
Call back to episode 3. Yeah, I don't know. I'll fess up. I don't know. I don't think 30 Seconds to Mars is that bad, but whatever.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, if 30
fascinating.
Seconds to Mars didn't exist, then where would movie trailers get their music?
I don't think they're that good either, to be clear. It's just I don't really see them as necessarily that much worse than most bands in that scene. Y'all can't see it, but I feel like I just got the evil eye. I think Emma and I are gonna have a talk after this. You know.
Am I gonna have to break y'all up? Like, what's
Oh
up?
my god. Oh my god.
Stay tuned to find out the new co-host of this show.
What?
One of us is not making out of it.
No, it's gonna be one of those situations where you two just are gonna be talking to each other, and every single episode is gonna be like it was like, tell Bug that I thought that was a really good question.
Oh my god.
Okay, hey Bug.
Look, some of us have beef with Bill Bryson, some of us have beef with Jared Leto, okay?
Everyone on this podcast is going to leave this recording with a beef with somebody.
Oh yeah.
So we have to do an episode like that at some point now, right? Like we have to for the bit.
Also, I just remembered the name of that musician who did the Continental Divide Trail. Actually, no, I don't remember his name, but I know he did the song "Cooler Than Me."
Fucking Mike Posner.
Mike Posner?
Mike Posner, that's it.
That was not. I did not see that coming. I assumed we were talking about some Bandcamp artist.
I definitely know Mike Posner. Holy shit.
Posner released his debut album in 2010 called 31 Minutes to Take Off. Full circle. Let's go. It kind of sounds like 30 Seconds to Mars.
Oh my
A little
god,
bit.
it's so close.
Ugh.
I wonder if that was a direct, homage.
On that note, we've been going close to an hour. We should talk about what we've learned. Emma, what'd you learn today?
I learned about trail cryptids. I learned about the preparation for these kind of trails, and I think I actually, to go for real for a second, I think I hadn't considered the mental and emotional component of putting your life on pause while you go find yourself and travel across the country. I think that's really cool.
I learned that there's some weird guys on trails who like to bring weird little gadgets and take as little shit as possible, and they're often annoying. I learned that Mike Posner, Billboard charting artist, known for such hits as "I Took a Pill in Ibiza" and "Bow Chicka Wow Wow," is an avid hiker. I learned that Emma really does not fuck with 30 Seconds to Mars, and I learned a lot about. I think I'm gonna take away from this podcast that sometimes you can just kind of see something that looks cool and decide to do it, and that you can and that once you have committed yourself to accomplishing things that seem really difficult and impossible to do, but there are people doing them, and it is something you can do too, and you can really just kind of throw yourself into something and make the life you want to do just because you do it. And that's Bimbo Mentality, baby. Ari, having heard what we have learned, do you feel like you thought like a bimbo enough to explain your passion to us?
Yeah, let's go with it.
Hell yeah, I love that. Ari, do you have anything you want to plug for us?
Okay, so there's not much going on in life right now. I did not do as much writing as I wanted to while I was actually on trail, but hopefully there'll be some stuff coming soon. The best place to follow me, I am not on Blue Sky, but I remain on Instagram at arizona.state.online. Right now, you'll just see me not living a normal, quiet life in Seattle. But a few years down the road, hopefully you'll see me on the Continental Divide set at new records.
Cool. That's awesome. That's going to do it for us this week on Bimbo Mentality. Programming note, going forward, we will be going down to an every other week release. So look out for us 2 weeks from now when we talk about molecular biology.
Emma's bisexual and we're bi-weekly.
Oh my god.
Death of you.